15 and so they can get across. I think the project is very well needed and I'm in favor of it.
I got music. Yes, if we could mute our cell phones just to make sure. So I like the music, but it distracts us. Go ahead, Darren. Sorry.
Well, that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Kurt? Either way, however you feel more comfortable, just make sure that we speak into the microphone, please.
Yeah, I'm Kurt Holland. I'm with Varela and Associates. I've been doing, working with the town on their engineering for 20 years. And I just want to thank all the staff, council people, citizens for their input. It's been a pretty excited, proactive collaboration between residents, staff, and council. Currently, the project's, I'm going to say 99%, 95% complete. Design has been sent to WashDOT with the design report. The design report includes the necessary defining of the intersections based on design vehicles, ADA ramps, stormwater analysis has been sent to both Ecology and WashDOT. They both actually take different criteria for approving it. I was going to try to compare the age of the existing infrastructure to the mayor being 29 years old and show a table of that, but at that rate, they're about 3 times older than the mayor. So the last time there was major infrastructure improvements in the downtown Tonasket area was pushing 80 years ago. A lot of things have changed in 80 years, the growth of the community, let alone the deterioration of the infrastructure. We've been, working on and off on this for many years. Obviously, I support the project, but I really think that it checks a lot of the boxes. The council and staff's proactive pursuit of funding has been unprecedented. The amount of grant funding to the project, I think, is unprecedented.
I can't hear.
Not only is the infrastructure bad, but I think in places you actually have high liabilities regarding the ADA. The cracks in the sidewalk is putting the city at risk for injury. The corridor through the town on the US Highway 97 is considered one of the most dangerous stretches of Highway US 97.
Why are these things always so soft?
One second. If you're online, can you please mute yourselves because we can hear the conversation if you're on the phone as well. Thank you.
It's a directional mic, so if you got to talk right at it.
So not only are we addressing the stormwater issues, the water main issues, the sanitary sewer collection issues, the ADA issues, but some of the components that the staff and councils recommended is also to help traffic calming and the safety issues and the accidents that they've had in town. Obviously, I'll participate in questions towards the end of the project. Again, it's sitting at probably 95% complete. It's at the state regulators for review and approval. That includes Ecology, WashDOT, and Rural Development.
Thank you, Kurt. Now we'll have Ms. Levine.
So I'm going to talk about the funding a little bit. When I was first elected to city council, one of the first things we did in the first month is look for some way to fix the stormwater. I had remembered the former mayor, Patrick Plum, taking videos of the water and him walking through it and it pouring into what was known as the cooler and the other 2 shops, and it even going into Napa. And he was really hot on trying to get some legislative help. And when I got elected, I was like, okay, we need to keep up on this because we can't have our businesses being damaged like this. And then I have two little kids and they were walking to school. We would come down and go over to the gym and then they'd walk to school and they would get a little bit older and then want to walk home. Well, going across 4th Street is
Speed
scary.
shortened or
So that gave me a little bit more incentive and also on the ADA side of things because traffic is fast sometimes. So I reached out to our legislature and asked them, hey, what would it take to get some help? And they said, well, you need to be a lot farther along in the project and we haven't seen any updates in a really long time. So then I did some research and found out this started like 16 years ago by the time I'm asking them about this. And I was like, wow. And I started digging in and I'm brand new as a council member. And I was like, a lot of work has been done to this. And then it died. And it got termed the Magnificent Mile. And we had a whole meeting in regards to the Magnificent Mile because it was already taken by another city. And they said, you can't have our name. You got to pick another one. And then we came up with the Magic Mile because we were thinking it's gonna take some magic to get all these entities and all these agencies, all these funding sources to work together at the same time and make this all happen. So we came up with the perfect passage with a lot of input. And again, it's gonna be it's still going to be a miracle to get everyone to work together. Just with the baseball fields, they have one grant. And trying to manage that and get it done on time and extending things is hard to do. And to get all these funding sources to work together has been interesting. So the first phase of the project is almost $5.5 million. The loan side of it is a little over $600,000 right now. So that's pennies on the dollar with who's going to be paying that back here in the city to fix the infrastructure underneath the highway. And then we're going to add some lights and different things on top because why redo it all if we're not going to make it look nicer? So we've gone out for the direct appropriations for $1,664,000. On the second phase, we've asked for even more. That's not on the sheet you're looking at. Department of Ecology, $1,149,000 or $149,200. State Department of Transportation, $600,000. TIB, which is the Transportation Improvement Board, Complete Streets, $50,000. Rural Development, that one's still in progress, $404,231. And then CDBG was the Community Block Grant, $987,000. So the loan side of it is Department of Ecology, that's a stormwater. So we're going to deal with that forever and ever on the stormwater. So we need to figure out between the operations and maintenance, the putting it in, that's something we're going to have to deal with for a long time.
May I interject? Just for the folks that are online, you can find the whole packet on their website. So if you want to follow along, there should be a pie chart. So it's on our website, our Tonasket website.
Calendar invite.
It's on the calendar invite. So there's a link and you can click on it and it'll take you to the agenda items. Thank you. Go ahead.
So on the Department of Ecology, so the two loan items are the Department of Ecology, a portion of it. That's also a grant loan package. And then rural development, which has not been finalized yet, which is about $400,000. So those are the two items that we would be working on paying off for this first phase of the project. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Levine. Now for utility rates increase description, Alice Atwood, please.
Mr. Mayor, I think we skipped the page. You can ask it for perfect foundation.
information that we would like to address. And,
So we would like to address the perfect passage information page that everybody has. It has the items that have been decided upon and what we are still working on. I don't know, would you like to address this, Kurt? Or would?
That's how it usually happens around here. Alice
Yeah.
says, "Hey, would you?" And then it gets done.
I understand.
Kurt, is there any way to get the mic more that way? So that, there you go.
There. Okay, items that's been decided. One of the main focuses of the project was your stormwater issues, which are probably the biggest and most expensive hurdle that the design incorporated. And that is the sizing and the inlet capacity, the ability to get the water off the road and pipe it to the, correctly pipe the flows to the edge of the project. So the stormwater system's completed design. It's at ecology for review and approval. The preliminary draft approval was approved 2 years ago, I think. Replacement of the old existing water mains. That's not the complete project, but most of the project still has water mains from the 1940s, including the galvanized side services. And that's what Darren was referring to earlier. The water mains will be all replaced with PVC. The service laterals will be replaced with HDPE. The valves will all be replaced. We're going to reuse the existing meters. We're going to put them in coiling boxes so he doesn't have freezing problem. He can extend the meters to the surface for easy access. And the fire hydrants are all be replaced as well. Pedestrian lighting system has been designed and sent to WashDOT for review and approval per their standards. The pole-to-pole electrical will be buried in the sidewalk. New sidewalks with ADA accessibility is completed. Planter size and tree locations have been determined. Tree box has been selected for suppressing root damage to pavement, sidewalks, etc. It'll be parallel parking similar to what you see right now. Stamped concrete in the bulb outs and down the sidewalk along the curb. The design vehicle for each intersection per WashDOT requirements. And what that is you pick design vehicles and you analyze each intersection to ensure the design vehicle can negotiate those corners. The largest design vehicle for WashDOT, it's a WB67. That's what was used for the through traffic through town and access to 4th Avenue or street, both north and southbound. Yes.
Good question.
It's just an acronym for a semi that's, they used to say it's a semi 67 feet. A big truck. Yeah. Yep. I don't know what WB actually stands for, but it's an old acronym from the AASHTO design manual that was adopted by WashDOT.
So does that include a truck and a pup?
It includes actually a truck and a pup can typically make a corner better than one long truck can.
Okay.
Yes. So it's the largest radius vehicle WashDOT allows in an intersection design.
All right.
Yep. The poles, the lighting poles include banners, hangers to just like your existing ones for banners for your seniors or Christmas or whatever. Also includes hangers for hanging baskets, irrigation in the poles, and GFIs for future plugins. Irrigation system to the planters, trees, and hanging baskets. There is an inclusive theme represented in each of the following. That's the Salish, Latino cultures, and the European descendants. So the initial document that was reviewed and approved by the city council 2 years ago included a desire to integrate a cultural element to the final design of the project. That's been incorporated, and we're working with local artists and things to give opportunities within the project limits to represent the various cultures that are in the city of Tonasket in the area. And the communication system, text, Facebook, updates on Facebook, newspaper, radio, utility bills, the means and methods and the frequency of advertising, and that's still yet to be worked out. And I'm sure council will be, those things typically are, it's a working document. So some things work and some things don't, and they kind of morph as time goes on. We've tried Facebook with limited success. I think the utility bills oftentimes works the best. Construction documents include door-to-door notices to the businesses, impacts, etc. What's still undecided is the types of trees going in the planter boxes, what's going in the planters themselves. There'll be a perennial type plants that die back each winter, like bulbs, decorative grasses, etc. So those areas can also be used for snow storage. The art and the exact location of the art still to be determined. And again, perfecting the means and methods of public notification.
Thank you, Kurt. Alice?
Okay, so the utility rates, one of our favorite discussions here. So, as usual, it is the council's intent. We always try really hard to keep our rates as low as possible. However, it has always been the goal also to be financially and fiscally responsible. That means paying our bills, saving funds, and also paying for our loans. With inflation alone, that will ensure that our rate will increase annually. We will be required to increase rates when we receive funds from rural development. We must meet their threshold. So at this time, we don't have an exact amount. We are looking at possibly a $4 per month increase. It's also important to note, we do have a couple of loans that are coming up that are due to be paid off, which is good news, which will also assist with our rates. So
Abe,
at-
finish 2 more pieces of veggies.
Can we
Yeah,
make
we-
sure you mute it
yeah, I
if
got
you're
it.
online? Thank you.
Asked to mute. Okay, he's muted. Okay. So, as you can see with the handout that we have given you, that we have probably one of the lower rates right now compared to a lot of other entities in the area. And that's based on 1,200 cubic feet. Every town just about figures their water rates differently. We base ours on 500 cubic feet a month. Some cities base it on gallons, and it just depends. They all do it according to what works in their town. So right now, we feel that we're good stewards of the state and federal funds, and we will continue to be so.
Thank you. Thank you, Alice. Next, we have. Go- So right now, we don't know the exact because the project is not finalized. And there are other considerations with loans maturing. So that may or may not, but the important thing is that the estimation, that we have, the best estimation we have right now is that it's a $4 increase per month, correct?
It-
Alice?
Yeah, that would be the worst case scenario is,
No, 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 no,
No,
When do they do that?
per month, every month, $4, every month, yeah, yeah, yes, exactly. Sorry about that. Yes, I should have been more clear. Thank you.
$48 per year.
Per year, about $48, $50 per year.
Wait.
1 second, 1 second.
okay, sorry, we need to use
Can-
the microphone.
We want to make sure that, yeah, I'm sorry because we're recording this and it needs to.
And then we have people online, so we want them to be able to hear everyone too.
I'm Kurt Dennison. I'm the city's planner. I just want to illuminate a little bit on what Alice said. Is that we're getting 90% grant money, 95% grants. Part of the way you get those grants is by meeting certain thresholds and qualifications. So in the case of RD and some of the other funding sources, if your rates don't meet their threshold, then you can borrow money all you want, but you're not going to get any grant money. And so that's the reason for rate increases is what it might be is the city has to do a $4 rate increase, worst case, to hit that threshold so that we qualify for the maximum amount of grant money. Does that make sense? And I think that's really important to folks to understand because a question last week had to do with, well, we're a low income community. We can't raise rates. Part of the reason we're getting the money we're getting is because we are a low income community. So it's kind of a damned if you do and damned if you don't. But I think it's important to understand that a $4 a month rate increase is the worst case necessary to get us to the 51 or whatever USDA is going to require of us. And we're not alone. Other communities are 80, 90 a month. So we're still pretty low compared to everybody else. But I think it's really important that folks understand that's part of the reason why there would be a rate increase. And then part of the rate increase is to help pay off the loans. And we want as little loan and as much grant as possible.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Ms. Weddle?
Sure, yeah. Hey, and we're almost there for lots of questions. We'll get you, I promise. First, I'm just so excited we have a room full of people. It's really nice to see people looking back at us. It's usually just yellow chairs, and so it's really nice to see people. Yeah, so I just want to talk more in specific about communication. So we are really trying to make sure we have multiple ways of communicating to the public about what we're doing and how to get input back from you. And so in the last 2 years, we have updated our website. That is still something that we're navigating. And if you are using it, you're somebody who uses our website and you have input, let us know because it's sometimes hard to know what's user friendly or not. So if you have suggestions, let us know. We also, we have developed a new Facebook page. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, we are going to be updating information. We have turned off comments because that for a public entity, you can't have comments, but it is information and you could give us a thumbs up if you want to, but anyway, it's a good place to when we put information out there, it'll come right to you and you'll know what we're thinking or what we're up to or what our meetings are. Another one that we have just this year started is called Text My Gov. It is a opt-in communication system, kind of like emergency management. I don't know if you guys use emergency management, but how it works is that you will text our city hall and they will, our entity, Text My Gov, and you can say you want to be part of this communication system. And if we have an alert that we want to send out to everybody who is opted into it, we will send it out to you. Also, if there is something that you see like a geyser in the middle of a street, you can text, say, hey, there's an emergency here, and it'll notify us and Darren. So it's a back and forth communication system, but mainly we want to use it for us to be able to notify you as we're going. If we're going to start construction, we can say, hey, this road's closed. Make sure you pay attention to that. So it's a system that we've put in place. And then also we are utilizing as best we can our utility bill. If we need to, we'll send out information that way. I know Joanne Dagnan was talking about the radio. That's something that I want to make sure we utilize also. So we're trying all means of communication. If there's anything that else you can think of, we also have our two reporters here, Laura and Red. So they will write articles and hopefully get you information that way too. But if you want up-to-date immediate information about a meeting or road closure or something like that, Text My Gov and Facebook might be your best bets. The last piece of communication that we're gonna add is that on our website, we're gonna have a space dedicated just for Perfect Passage information. That information, like all the documents that you have today, is already on our, like, today's meetings calendar. You can click on it and you get your information there. But we're working with our website company, and on our front page, we'll have a Perfect Passage button, and it'll just say Perfect Passage, and you can click it. And you'll get all information that we have up to date, and whatever we feel like we need to get out to the public. So lots of different ways. Text My Gov is on our Facebook or our website right now. There's a little green flag. So you can click on that and it'll tell you how to navigate to get that opt-in system for this. I'm just glad you're here.
Thank you, Ms. Weddle. So now we're at that juncture where we do the question and answer. I asked that, for the purposes of the meeting and for our recording, that if you have either we can walk the mic or you can come up and speak on the mic. We ask that you try to keep your comments to 3 minutes around there, and that we are respectful of each other's opinions. It's important that this type of communication be civil. It's okay to disagree. It's okay, it's important to disagree and to provide different perspectives so that we can have a better product. I hope the intent of the presentation is to update those that have not been in the past updated, or they have not had the chance to come to our meetings. And we're gonna be as transparent as we have to be, as we can be. But it takes having a communication that's respectful of one another. So with that, the floor is open. Yes.
Did you want people to come up or do you?
However they want. It's kind of, we're crowded, so it might be a little bit difficult to. But go
My
ahead.
only question to start with, I guess, is, has there been any proposals on how traffic is going to be handled going both directions through town during this project? How that's going to impact business? And Roger Tesh owns Shannon's Cafe at the other end of town.
Mr. Stetson, would one of you want, would anyone want
Yes,
to?
I'm
Kurt,
already ready.
Kurt, go for it, Kurt.
Because we've talked about it.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, so we've talked it over with WashDOT. We've actually even worked on a multi-year plan that I'll cover in a second, but there'll be one-way traffic through town. Northbound is the proposal. Southbound will go on Western. Businesses they'll be open during the duration, whether or not there's a sidewalk in front of it or not. The contractor will be responsible for putting gravel ramps into the entrance of this business. Obviously, at times that entrance will not be usable. Wet cement, we can't, it's got to cure, right? So I mean, there'll be disruptions here and there for that. When they're pulling out the concrete in front of it, there'll be disruptions. This kind of work has been done, obviously, many times over. Contractors know what their expectations are. They know, and it's not flawless. I'm not going to say it's going to be flawless. I'm not going to say it's going to be, totally convenient to everybody, but this has been done and done successfully many times. But the current traffic intent is northbound stays on Whitcomb. It'll flip from one side to the other. Southbound will go on Western. Just the current plan is that also puts a lot of wear and tear on Western. We've been working with TIB for going back and redoing Western because it's gonna get beat up. So we have a multi-year plan to address any damages that may happen to Western during the construction as well. Does that answer your question? A little bit, I guess. Okay. Yeah, the deep.
You're talking about maybe small areas or one business that, I mean, you're gonna have traffic continually going through town.
Correct.
So I guess if it just goes from one lane to the other, that somewhat answers my question, I
Yeah,
guess, but
I suspect means and methods is left to the contractor a little bit. The deepest pipe is a sanitary sewer, so that's gonna make the biggest hole in the road. We gotta get down 10, 12 feet to replace the sanitary sewer. I suspect they're gonna saw cut the middle of the road, maybe slightly west to the middle of the road. Get that deep pipe, get the center pipe, which is a storm pipe, done. Finish that side of the road, gravel it, tear up the east side, and get the water line and do the service connections. So they'll stub to the middle of the road and then continue. I'm getting a little into weeds, but we've thought it over. I've talked it over with WashDOT and a contractor, and I got a feeling that'll be the means and methods.
yeah, I just see your biggest issue as the southbound traffic, most particularly trucks.
Yeah.
Getting back onto Whitcomb by the mini mart or wherever you're talking about, because they will, with the truck and trailer, they will take up both lanes.
Yep.
No question.
Probably down to 6th. We'll just wrap them right into 6th. We checked the turning radiuses, I believe. There's better truck drivers than others. I mean, there could be problems. Yeah,
Yeah.
half the pole on 4th was rubbed off a few years ago. I see they replaced it, but yeah, I can't control poor truck driving, but they can negotiate those corners.
Thank you. I have another question. Okay.
Hi, my name's John McReynolds. This question is for Kurt. I was just curious about the process from here. So you've got your plans out to your agencies that are approving it, and then you're going out to bid at some point. Question, just how does that work? When do you expect to go out to bid? And then I think kind of a follow-up is how, like with the cost estimate, how confident are you that are we're talking the right numbers or not?
Yeah, great question. And the bid climate's been very unpredictable. I'll give you that. Again, the cost estimate portion of it, I had a professional contracting estimator review it and update it. There's 15% contingency built into which, it's several $100,000, but honestly, that's probably the biggest wild card. To protect the project moving forward, we've split the project in two. So the base bid is going to be from 4th Street to 2nd Street. And there'll be a Schedule A that goes that last block. So if the bids come in extraordinarily high, we can still award the base bid, and we'll wrap that final block into a phase that we've already asked for additional funding for. The goal is to have notice of award by June 1st. The one thing we can't control is the regulatory review process. They say 30 days, but I've seen it go longer. Yep.
Roger Castelda. Alice, how much is the city in debt at this point in time?
So I don't we have, I don't have a total on this, but it is probably close to 4 million.
4 million?
Yeah.
And I take it, which bank are you dealing with for your loan, or do you have that information at this point in time?
For
The 607,000.
we aren't dealing with any banks.
You aren't going to deal with any banks?
No, we are dealing with the agencies that we get the funds from.
Okay.
Yep.
What's your interest rate?
The interest rate for the interest rate for the RD will be about 2.25, I believe. Yeah.
It-
And
Okay, so
and let me just, the stormwater, I believe is, I thought I wrote that down. 1.2%.
Mhm.
Yes.
in your contract, you're gonna start digging with this water system. You're gonna probably run into some problems that you don't realize are there.
Mhm.
If you're a contractor, know how it goes.
Yep.
Do you have that covered in your contract and how you're gonna handle that?
You know, to the best of our abilities, again, like you said, I've gone to every basement in the adjacent buildings. That's been the biggest, unexpected hurdle has been, you know, there used to be a chute for, loading the basements up with merchandise or something. Sometimes there's a buried oil tank, you know, I look for, piping and stuff. I didn't see any, but you know, in Republic, we hit a mine shaft. So, you know, I can't tell if there's mine shafts, but you're absolutely right. When you got a town that's 100 years old, there's going to be things that you didn't expect. You know, we have contingencies in there for that. We've made some provisions for some other things that may come up.
Mhm.
You know, just a unit rate for miscellaneous concrete repairs in ramp areas or things like that. Yeah, so I don't.
Yeah. Is there
Unless you've got a crystal ball, that's.
I don't have a crystal ball. The gentleman next to you is gonna be looking at the crystal ball.
Darren and I, we've walked it, so yeah.
But do you have an inflationary factor in that contract too?
The initial funding applications included a inflationary factor of 4.5%. That was again 2 or 3 years ago when we did that. We thought that was generous. Obviously, it's not. But the current budget does include the cost for the current expected price.
And in most, this is about a $5 million+ project.
Yes, sir.
There's going to be cost overruns. You aren't going to tell me there aren't. There's going to be
Correct.
cost overruns.
Correct.
So you're going to have to look at that too and
Yep.
take that into consideration.
Yep.
Therefore, my suggestion, if you're going to charge $4 a month extra on your bill, you might double it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
I think he's volunteering.
Can I make a comment?
Well, one comment. Yes.
So Roger. Roger, one of the things that we did on this second capital budget request is we put in there phase 1, phase 2. So if there's any parts of phase 1 that we still need money for, the second capital budget request that is not included in this, we can use some of that funds.
Get all the money.
So, okay, thank you. It's their highway. The state should be paying for it, so.
Okay.
Oh. Ed, do you have a question online?
Yeah, real quick.
I
Thanks.
can barely hear him.
Oh, can you turn up a little bit somehow? You're kind of hard to hear.
Okay.
I think
Is that
that's on
us?
our end,
Yeah.
Ed.
It's his
Oh,
hand.
okay.
Okay, there we
There you
go.
go. There
You're
you go.
good. That's better.
Okay. Yeah, the question I have is on the traffic, since it's a multi-year project. I totally understand that. Have you guys gone over and discussed, since the roads are going to be torn up through the winter time, how you're going to be taking care of them for plowing, that type of thing?
Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, the project will be completed before, each phase will be done before winter hits. There'll be a transition piece between the existing pavement section and the new pavement section that'll have to be removed when the subsequent phase goes in, but there will not be any gravel showing anywhere. So you'll have all blacktop or concrete.
During the winter,
Okay.
Yep, during the winter.
in between phases.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and then we had a Mr.
Dave Kester. For the last 20, 25 years now that we've talked about a perfect passage or whatever you want to talk about, it goes from bridge to bridge.
Mhm.
And this last phase or this last presentation here mentions 2 phases. We've been up to 3 and 4 phases. What are we talking about? This last one looks like it's 2 blocks long. And it has no weight. It covers from bridge to bridge. When does that happen? Or doesn't, have you given up on that?
Well, the current project phasing, I don't think has changed since the initial presentation. It's 3-phase. Phase 1 is the most utility concentrated. So it has the biggest pipes, the deepest pipes, and the most pipes. Phase 2 doesn't have that water main, and sanitary sewer was replaced mid-2000s. So this phase is the one with the 80-year-old leftover sanitary sewer. Phase 3 is primarily sidewalk going to the intersection of Western.
Yes.
Does the project go from one bridge to the other bridge here in town, the mile, whatever it is?
I think so. It's really close. I don't know where that intersection with Western is with
And this
that bridge,
project
but
here that covers from First Street to Fourth Street,
yes,
3 blocks.
yes, sir.
It's gonna take how long?
That's phase 1,
That's phase 1.
That's phase 1. That's how long? 1 year?
No,
Oh,
4 months.
4 months.
And then phase 2 covers from what street to what street?
It'll cover from 4th to Bonaparte Creek intersection with 20.
Okay. And the whole thing from first to whatever is your 9 million? Or are we way above that now?
The projected costs haven't been updated for phases. Well, actually, we
They
did.
have.
So
Yes, they have.
phase 2 was 3 point something,
Yeah, and then the last one was
about 2,
1.89.
1.89.
Yeah. So the other 2 phases are a lot less.
5.
And the last one is
It's
1
a little
point.
higher than 9 now.
Yeah.
And you know,
Well,
the
it was
other
9
thing
it was-
is the funders have realized that the volatility of the bidding is different than it was 5 years ago. They used to allow 15% contingency. They now allow 30% contingency. So when we do the reapplications, there's already another 15%.
5 years ago, we were talking $9 million with a 4 to 6% inflation rate. And we're still at $9 million and we're way above 5 or 6% inflation.
So I want to say something on that real quick. So when the very first meeting, it was pretty much just thrown out there without any drawings. So is this going to cost us $10 million? And it's just like, at least. And we had no idea. We didn't have all these drawings at the first meeting. No. We had the old plan, but we didn't have these new drawings. And once they looked at all the aging infrastructure and what needed to be replaced and where the deepest pipes were going to be and which ones had been replaced and hadn't been replaced, and all that information came to light roughly 4 years ago, because the first meeting was 5 years ago, back on this project. That's when numbers started coming. That's when the specs started. Wait a minute, we don't have to do this here because they're all here. And with more information, the numbers have been a little bit more fine-tuned. And
Initial conversations with funders and regulators, you always shoot really, really high. So
we did.
You know, when we were at the IACC tech meeting, first bringing this to light to the regulators and asking for funders, you know, we're going to be extraordinarily conservative in our project estimates, but we don't know if that storm pipe needs to be 30-inch or 48-inch. So Tegan's correct that as time goes, you start perfecting some of those numbers, and I think the current total is more like 11.
Any other questions? Come up.
My name's Steve Lors. Is this, inclusive theme, the plants, trees and hanging baskets, is that something that's mandated to qualify for the grant?
One of the grants that we have is purely for aesthetics, and it's 100% grant.
And what does that, and what are you looking at as far as cost?
That, well,
It's just you're talking about the art and all that.
yeah, so that,
It's.
Where is it?
It's
the
represented.
complete streets,
Say that again?
the complete streets that we qualified for $50,000.
Yeah.
That's, we get to use that money goes towards any aesthetics. That's why they make it.
Trees. With leaves on them and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And then like bike racks.
Okay. And that has really, I don't see that benefits sidewalks.
Garbage
piping.
cans do. And the holders and all these things that might have an aesthetic value to them can be this funding can be used for that.
And for you.
Yes. So
What's that? Okay. Good. I'm glad you brought that up.
If you don't, that's cool.
No, here, now, have you been to the bridge in? Have you been to the bridge in, I can't remember the town we were in Nebraska, Little League Baseball game. They've got metal art on these bridges that's distracting and it's obnoxious. It is obnoxious.
Hopefully we got some taste.
Well, what's your taste in art?
So
And who determines that?
You don't like it and other
Okay.
No, I love art.
Okay, folks. Okay, folks.
Trees, I understand, we got input, we've had people saying what they want and they don't want, we're not gonna go willy-nilly putting something.
Well, that's what they did in that city. And there's been a lot of complaints about it.
Compare ourselves to the bottom of the barrel.
So
Okay, folks, let's, I mean, this is a good conversation, but let's make sure we stay with, let's calm the spirits down. Okay, who's next?
can I just say something about the art real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, not to break up but so we want to be really intentional about what art we choose, where we put it, if it's distracting or not distracting, if it's tasteful, if it's offensive to somebody else. We are going to go through a process that's delicate to make sure we aren't putting crazy stuff out there. So, but we do want to have it be a part of a theme that is inclusive of all of the cultures that are in Tenasket. And so we have not yet determined exactly what that process is going to look like, but we want to be very considerate as we go through that. That is the Celix people.
Who are they?
They're the ancestors who used to live here that are part of the people that are from Tenasket.
Okay.
Also could be called the Native American.
Okay.
yeah,
Community.
also called
What's
the
that?
Native Americans.
Art is such a large word. I don't know, we're not talking about the David statue, I don't think, right? I just went to Phoenix for the first time in my life, for a best friend's wedding. And it's a new city. We went to part of the city that's really new. And there, it's brand new freeways and brand new houses everywhere. And they've incorporated like design, and you would call it art, but it's just design. Whereas you normally had a regular freeway embankment retaining wall, they put a little bit of a southwestern theme into it and broke it up a little bit. And they put plants into certain spots, water plants, because they got no water, little cactus that they've got in different areas, just to make it look like it's not a straight desert, and everybody there appreciates it. And it's like more like a theme, and it's just a little bit better than your average. It's not like art, and that's what I'm kind of picturing is we're just gonna add some flavor to this rather than turn it into like some sort of, bizarre art show,
Thank you.
Can I make a comment right here? Kurt, Can you tell us how many tree planters there's gonna be?
The bid items.
It doesn't have to be an exact figure, just a ballpark figure.
I can give you exact,
Okay.
if I can
cool,
read it.
Cool. Very good.
Miscellaneous. Well, why don't we go to the next question? And I didn't bring my reading glasses, so I'm
Okay.
squinting pretty hard.
All right.
here. These are fun.
Maybe still.
So we did have a,
All right. Those are far. I'm old. I'm more than 29 years old.
so just to give him a little bit more time to do some research, we did have another question. Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Jenny Bartholomew. When I was involved with this a couple years ago, we had voted no trees because us businesses were thinking that they're going to, and I still feel that the trees are going to block. I pay a lot of money for the glass in front of my store and I want everyone to see me. So you put a tree out there, that's going to block it. Two, is this tree going to get so tall that it's blocking my sign that I had to have approved through the city? So the tree thing, I still believe that we voted not to have it. So I'm curious as to how that got voted in again. Two, the bump outs. Our biggest concern in Tenasket is we don't have enough parking. And if you want your businesses to flourish, you have got to make it as simple as possible for people to park. If you don't, they'll just drive on through. They'll go on down to Omac to Walmart or Home Depot, and they won't stop at us little people. If you don't support us little people, all you'll have is the Home Depots and the Walmarts. You won't have us little businesses. So the bump outs, if I see them correctly on your design, are going to take up 2 car lengths, one on each end of each of the blocks that you're going to put that on. Now, if you're going to put them on all 4 corners, you're going to be taking 4 parking spots in 1 block. I only have 1.5 parking spots in front of my store, include and the yarn shop, the this and that shop. We all have 1.5 parking spots. We have to ask our neighbors. We have a new lady who's got a gym that's gone in. Well, she has 13 people at a time. So I had to go to her and say, could you ask your people to park down the block, which she's been great and has. Don't park in front of our store. So if you put the bump outs in, now you've taken more parking spots that we can't afford to lose at all. Not at all. And your comment on full chairs compared to empty chairs, you got empty chairs when nobody is upset about what you're doing. You have full chairs because people are upset about what you're doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to discuss the bulb outs for a minute. I counted 21 on the plans. That's an average of 3.5 per block.
Okay.
For 6 blocks. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
For the whole,
For 21 trees is what I counted. I might have been off a couple, but, so the bulb outs. Yes, ma'am. 3 blocks. Yep. And that was about, it might be 22, might be 19, it might be, I just did a quick read on the deal. So the bulb outs, if you go back and look at the required yellow curb that you're not supposed to park in when you get to an intersection. If required by WashDOT, you cannot park within, I want to say 35 feet of an intersection. It's illegal. Sometimes the paint's not there and people park there anyway. The bulb outs look bigger because we're both making them wider into the intersection and they return within that yellow section. So by law, we have not reduced any parking in town. And in fact, we've adjusted a couple of the approaches. For example, the vacant gas station has got an unlimited approach all the way in front of it that's for sale. That's not necessary. And WashDOT wouldn't allow it. They would have to have approach into the gas station, and out of the gas station. So there's actually more parking in that block than there used to be. So I think at the end of the project, there's a net gain in on-street parking.
Wait,
Here you go.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Steve Lors. How do those things work when they're hit by a snowplow at 20 miles an hour or so?
Karen or Kurt.
They work very well. There's the bulb out's sole purpose is to get the pedestrian out into the intersection so they can see traffic and traffic can see them. It also, study after study after study shows, when you narrow the throat of a highway, a road, people slow down. So one of the primary goals for this project is to get people to slow down in town. I think the average speed for a semi through town is around 37 miles an hour. It's again got the highest accident rate in US 97 in Central Washington. Now, regarding the snowplows, the early renditions of those bulb outs, they were angular. They didn't take in the ability for snowplow to make those corners, get around it. These are designed to be as snowplow friendly as you can be. Is there going to be a learning curve with people on a snowplow? Yes.
I have a question back.
what? Next, Joanne.
Hi, I'm Julie Pratt, and I have a question. I've been a caregiver and I'm riding around in a scooter myself. I want to know if you have a plan for ramps on all four corners. Right now, there's about one per intersection, so we end up in the street. And the second part of the question, when you get through with the ramp thing, I want to know, what is Tenascet's theme?
Can I answer the sidewalk question?
You
Yeah.
can do the theme. How's that?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, so each intersection has got directional ADA ramps, both across Whitcomb and across the adjacent street, with the exception of Fourth. And Fourth is the exception again to allow that large turning radius of those trucks. We had to edge that corner on Fourth is actually going to be about 10 feet further out of the intersection than the current one is. And then some of the geometry across the street where the hardware store is didn't allow the two directional ADA ramps. So there's a single ADA ramp that you're going to have to negotiate both directions. But that was just
There's only one ramp at that corner.
yeah, in the center.
No, just on that corner. The other corners will have them just on that
Yeah.
one corner. There's a single.
There won't be four ramps there won't be a ramp on each of the four corners of each intersection.
There will be ramps on it, but only at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, so we'll have
Yes.
two, but one's gonna have just one, and you'll have to pick if you're gonna go north, south, or east, west.
For the wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna have to do jaywalking to get.
No,
Route 2.
no.
We're gonna follow the law.
And if
Oh, I know,
If- and if you want to grab me after the meeting, I'll show you the intersections on there. We can talk about it, okay? Okay.
Be expecting one ramp per corner.
There'll be 2 ramps per corner. Okay, there's ramps in all corners, yeah.
Yes, there's ramps on all of them.
Okay, part 2 of your
And
question.
can I-
Ready? Okay, first,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Real quick. First, Julie, you were actually an inspiration. Previously when Jill Ritter was a council member, her and I went and borrowed a wheelchair to see just how people could get up on the sidewalks, the curbs, and from just across Shannon's on the west side of the highway, I got in the wheelchair and Jill pushed me. And I'm gonna say probably 60% of the time we were left in the highway because there was not a curb to get back onto in order to get out of the road. And so that we went ahead and posted that on YouTube and everything and shared it with legislature because it's a huge safety factor. I mean, for people either in walkers, wheelchairs, scooters to not be able to get out of the highway, that was huge. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit because it's very important in this project.
On all of the Fourth Avenue, there's gonna be like northeast direction.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Yes. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can I borrow your microphone?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna trade you. Okay, so I want to introduce you to the Tenasket Perfect Passage Master Plan. This was adopted in 2020, January 14th. I believe it was Jeff and I's maybe our first meeting that this was adopted. And in here, after lots of work, you're welcome to look at this at any time. It has all the minutes of the previous meetings, all of the dates and times and everything that had taken place prior to that, all was adopted in this binder. And this is where we get the theme. So it's not something that this current council created. This is something that has been in the works for 24 years or so. But in this plan is where we are guiding us to this theme. So I'm just going to read this paragraph here. It says, thematic elements. The city desires establish a unifying theme to the improvements. Art provides an opportunity to create a focal point for local residents and a point of interest to travelers. It also provides an opportunity to expand a theme throughout multiple locations in the city. The city is named after a historical native regional figure, Chief Tenasket. City leaders have proposed a theme based on the historical native population of the region. And in here, there is a possibility of reaching out to maybe Smoker Marchand or some other native artists to contribute art to Tenasket. And our council and our committee is working on trying to honor this theme, trying to honor the idea of representing what Tenasket was prior to us incorporating into that, or 1927. And then looking at who is Tenasket now, what makes up Tenasket current day. And we have kind of identified the Latino culture, the Selix people, who is the Native Americans who still live here and are part of this land. And then also it is really hard to identify what European descendants are, but all the rest of us. So it was really challenging how to define that. So our concept is to take those three main cultures and honor that somehow in Tenasket as our theme. And that can look like art, it can look like stories, it can look like language, can look like lots of different things. We're still in the works of that. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But the concept that we want to try to make sure we represent is that we are an inclusive community that will represent all types of people. So, yeah. Ronnie has got her hands up. Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Holder Diefenbach, and I'm the Executive Director for the Economic Alliance. And we're the economic development organization for the county. And just to kind of follow up on that point, art tourism is a huge thing. People travel for the artwork, especially when we have well-known people who are in our area that donate their artwork, and people actually travel throughout the state, other states around us, as well as in Canada, to really look and go and see that. In a lot of our communities throughout Okanagan County and our neighboring communities, we see people who have put art in their parks. They have highlighted and put themes, the murals that have been going up that the Okanagan Highlands have put in. Those are things that are going to draw people to your community, and you want them to stop at your store. Having that artwork and having those things available for people to see is going to help bring people to your community. So when you're doing your marketing and your advertising for your Chamber of Commerce and your other for the city and those types of places, they're going to be highlighting that, and that's going to help draw people to your community as well.
Roger Castildo, I just want to make a general statement. Yeah, you're okay, Alice. All right. Listen. You need new sidewalks, you need a new water system. You need to improve your traffic lane through this town. There's money on the table. You might as well use it because other towns are using it. They're improving their site where they're at. So go with it, get it done. The quicker you get it done, the better off you are. And you're going to be proud of your town. So that's my statement. I used to be against this project. As I see that it's coming together, let's go do it. We can do it. We did it at the Legacy. We can do it here.
Anybody else? Oh, yeah, Jane, I'm sorry.
I was wondering if I could have, Jenny Bartholomew. Could I have a show of hands of people who want the trees are a big thing for me. So I would like to know how many, so that I can either be quiet or not. How many people are in favor of having the 21 trees put into the sidewalk areas? And how many people are against it?
About half.
Okay.
Half and half.
Sorry, you'll be next.
Kevin Lepley. My name is Kevin Lepley.
Pay attention while they're doing it and make sure that they don't put one where you don't want it. And then, you know, it'll probably be a trunk and it'll be a bush maybe at first, but it'll go up above your windows. And you know, just stay in touch with everybody and make sure.
Block my sign. You can see the stand had you so high up off the sidewalk. So I look at Dave Kester's trees across the street.
Yeah.
And they are above my sign. They block my sign. So, oh, God. What?
You were gonna put them all in front of your place. We'll move them around.
I don't see that you'll be moving them around. And the other,
Are they absolutely determined where they go?
Nope.
No. Okay, so.
Well,
Your input will be received.
no.
Not all trees are the same size, and not all of them are approximately. So
when did it
I
start?
think there's some considerations we can tell. And you're important, so we'll take it into account. I mean, I could sit here, you know, hang out with the committee, we'll take it into account.
You like raking leaves?
I do.
I just in the interest of keeping the microphone as the person talking, I want to say thank you.
Leaves is because I like the shade from.
In the interest of keeping the microphone as the person talking, I want to say thank you for letting me speak. My name is Kevin Lepley. And I like the idea of taking a poll of seeing who is interested in the trees. But I think we should really involve the entire community for that instead of just the people that were able to attend here today. I think that is a great idea, that Jenny. And I want to echo what Roger said about making this a thing that we'll be proud of and having money on the table. I'm a 5th grade teacher and I'm excited to bring my students down here to see all the work and money that the community is putting into making this a better place. I think the kids are really going to feel like their town is important and worth investing in. So thank you for all of your time and energy that you put into this.
Debbie Haven. I don't think it's working. Anyway, I'm asking how far apart are each tree? How many feet? Because you're getting 21 of them and how many blocks? 3.
Yeah, I mean, some blocks have 2, and that's because they have driveway approaches and things that we had to avoid. Others have 4. But it varies.
Do you have to have that amount for your grant?
No,
So you could actually do maybe 3/4 of that or half of that.
or 1.5 times as much.
Why don't you just put
No, just-
maybe a couple and then see what it looks like and how they're gonna grow before you extend more? Because I can see you having to cut them. And if you're in a box and it grows, the roots are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So
This is towns all over America. I mean, you got Tree America cities, you drive by them all the time. It's a very common, most downtown renovation projects that include street trees have significantly more. We looked at them on Sprague Avenue, Monroe, Wenatchee.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And
But-
I want to make a comment on the trees. I was really worried, like you're saying about the roots, right? But there's a lot of, like with everything, you know, something happens, something breaks, and they're like, okay, how can we avoid this happening in the future? So they actually put them in boxes. And yeah, you have to replace the trees. I mean, because they can only grow so much. They don't allow them to grow into the pipes. It's a pretty advanced, you know, situation, and there's different types of boxes that can be used. And we've been looking at those and different trees that don't grow too big and different variations. And I think it's down to like 4 options. So to keep the trees small, and so just, yeah, it's been.
That broke down a lot of trees in our area. And when it gets stuck in nice, beautiful trees along the street, and you've got that leader or that branch or that whole one side of the tree laying on the sidewalk, Darren's got another job to do besides picking up leaves. And that's something I think you need to take into consideration with the tree thing. We don't get this very often. But it does happen.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Lisa.
Joanne Dagnan, do the businesses have the option of not having the tree? It looks to me like that seems to be an issue, and it seems to me like that should be considered. I'm not a business person here. It looks to me like if a business really doesn't want it, or if they don't want something, it should be listened to.
That's the council and the committee's
Mhm.
decision, yes.
Okay, can I make a comment here real quick? So you got 21 trees. Dave, what did you tell me it cost to prune the tree in front of your business? Yep.
Roughly.
4 trees. So you're talking.
Divide that into how many years? And that's the maintenance cost, you think? Okay. Do you think that they have a benefit in any way beside I mean, they do provide shade and they cool the area down a little bit, right? I mean, the people that are gonna park in front of your place, if it's a hot sunny day, it's gonna keep your windows cool, right?
So
Doesn't help at all, right? Are you thinking?
may I say
I'm
something?
just wondering.
They do.
They do help a little bit.
They do. The hot spell that we had a year or two ago, I actually went out and measured the wall temperature, and the wall temperature was over 140 degrees in the sun. And behind that, it was, 40, 50 degrees less.
Okay.
So depending on where the trees are and where it's situated, it all depends on what's behind them, I guess.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they come with a benefit. You know what I mean? I'm sure the shade, the beautification is one thing, but I mean, that's arbitrary and you can argue it, but there are more practical benefits to them also, right? Absolutely. Okay.
What,
May I say something about the trees?
Yeah.
I have some information that trees are critical asset to cities. Not only do they provide oxygen, they reduce energy usage, remove air pollutants, filter stormwater, cool hot streets by providing the shade and releasing water vapor. Trees also sequester carbon from the atmosphere, and trees have a positive effect on mental health, especially for children. So those are some good things to think about, food for thought when it comes to trees.
Yeah, and currently the selected boxes do have storm inlets. So we are utilizing the tree planter boxes to reduce the storm runoff and impacts further downstream.
So they have a dual purpose. And if you were to eliminate all the trees, or if we were to do a poll, say, and we eliminated half the trees, would you still have to have the drains? You have to make up that somehow?
No, I didn't count that in the
Okay,
analysis.
okay.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Nielsen and I have the new yarn shop that I just opened a year ago, right next door to Jenny's. And I noticed that we were gonna have planter boxes or something like that for snow removal storage. How big are these boxes going to be? Because there was a lot of snow this last year. And we have to be prepared for that. And most generally, I'm down there before she is and I scoop hers too. So getting up in, yes. So getting up in age, I don't have anyone else other than my husband to go down and scoop in front of our store, which we did. I know one of you guys came by and said we did a really good job this year, keeping the front of the store clear for customers to walk through. Because I sure don't want them to slip and hurt themselves and I don't either. So how big are those boxes going to be or those planter deal things?
Yeah, I'll talk about the planters for a second. I'm gonna let Darren talk about the city snow removal potential. The planters, they're shown on the center drawing there. They'll be located in the larger concrete areas in some of the bulb outs. So it'll provide some snow storage. You know, its initial intent isn't to be able to take all the snow, but it does give a little relief for both the businesses and plowing snow to pile stuff up. They're gonna be, you know, varying to 12 by 8 to maybe 20 by 8 in size based on the locations. And again, they'll have plants that die down to the ground. So, you know, you're not breaking bushes, you're not doing anything like that. So there'll be flowers in them and, yeah. I think the largest one is about 20 feet long. Yes. Yeah. So your existing sidewalks are pretty extraordinarily wide for a community. They're 13 feet.
Yay.
Right. And we're going to leave them 13 feet, but that does allow some room for on sidewalk merchandise. You know, if you want to move your stuff outside, it allows room for diners to maybe put chairs and tables outside. So we wanted to, you know, keep that wide sidewalk, but it also allows for, you know, some, you know, planters, or they're looking at seat benches or art or other things within that sidewalk profile.
Okay, thank you.
I think, did you get new sidewalks?
That's just.
Ann Cook, Alice, what 4 trees are being considered? You said they were down to 3 or 4 choices on trees.
Who's that? I didn't catch- Who is that?
Yes, I don't see it in here. Can I say something about trees and plants really quick before we get into that? We are not tree and plant experts. Just want to acknowledge that. So we're relying on we have a landscape architect that we're working with. He lives in Spokane, but we also have a local expert. If you guys know Veranda Beach. So the person who did all the landscaping, the group, so John and Tree Kiesecker are willing to help us out in navigating what trees are appropriate, what plants are appropriate, what's drought tolerant, what's going to be really minimal for maintenance. And that's going to be on the city to do that. And that's not on businesses. And so I just want to say we have experts that we're talking to that are going to help guide us to hopefully select the appropriate trees that make it so our storm system is not clogged up by leaves or little cherries or something. We're trying to take all that into consideration prior to putting anything in the ground. So we have some experts that we're reaching out to. We are. Well, Darren and his crew. Darren is a very skilled crew. Yes. We do.
No, the project will plant them and buy them initially. Yeah.
We do.
We have a question in the back.
Okay, so 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
2 cities,
And who are you, please?
2 cities.
What's your name?
Ephraim C. Brown, E.C. Brown Anomalies. Yes, I am that weirdo. City number 1, we have a city that needs its infrastructure updated very badly because it needs its infrastructure updated very badly, but they don't do it because it isn't cost effective. We have another city who decides that, yes, it is expensive. Yes, we're going to have to pony up $600K to get the gravy flowing from the nonprofit sector. That's what we're looking at. The $600K, the initial work is the dog and pony show that we are doing to get the inflow of the gravy from the nonprofit sector. That's what it is. So you have 2 cities and you want to talk about economic development, rural development. You drive through this city, it's got flooding issues, businesses getting flooded, not in compliance with ADA standards, not in compliance with state standards. This city decides that they want to get in compliance with ADA standards. They want to work with the nonprofit organizations to facilitate getting the gravy, getting the money flowing, and get themselves in compliance with the state and all of these other organizations. Whereas this one, it's too big of a challenge. We're good enough. We don't have to make these major changes because we're okay. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, when you think about it, when people come and they look for economic opportunities, what are they going to say? Who are they going to choose? Are they going to choose the city businesses and investors? Are they going to choose the city that looked and said, hey, we're going to upgrade our infrastructure. We can do this. Versus the city that says, we got businesses flooding. Maybe we do, maybe we don't need an upgrade. We can't afford it. Let's sweep it under the rug and push it along for another generation to deal with. Which city are businesses and potential investors going to take an interest in? Which city are the nonprofits going to take a look at when they say, hey, this city ponied up the $600,000 to get their ducks in a row to get the other gravy flowing? And let's face it, the future of economic rural development is in many ways working in conjunction with NGOs and nonprofits. Nonprofits are the future. If you can show that you're willing to work with the nonprofit sector and get that gravy flowing, there will be more gravy. If you can show businesses and potential investors and other people that, hey, we're willing to invest in our infrastructure so our businesses don't get flooded, where are they going to go? It's a pretty obvious. So I think my 3 minutes is up. That's what I have to say. So think about the long-term goal in the gravy.
Thank you, sir. Thank
you, Ephraim.
We have another question. I like the pictures.
Yeah, I'm Mike Nielsen.
Okay, let's all hear, please.
And my wife did open the store. I don't think anybody's against the project at all. I just think the businesses would like some say in where the trees go and the planters. The planters are going to be level to ground is what I'm expecting. Yeah, they're not going to be raised up. Perfect.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
One more.
Yep.
Wasn't it around this time here?
I can't see what you're looking at.
1954. Wasn't it around that time that Kenworth was looking to do a truck plant here? And wasn't there a few other kind of big businesses that saw Tenasket as an attractive place to do business?
Yes.
I don't know all of them, but I
Right.
know that there was a couple. And I don't think trees or, I do see infrastructure is needed, but some of
Absolutely.
this other stuff is just stuff.
Great, thank you. Any other one back there?
I got two more.
I already raised my hand with the pro trees thing, and I told this story to Roger earlier, and I just thought I'd share it with more people. So I'm the CEO at the hospital, and one of the unfortunate things I have to do is I convince someone who lives somewhere else to come work here. So maybe it's a doctor or nurse, something like that, and maybe they're not from a small town, and maybe they're from somewhere else. And we interview them, we like them, we want to bring them here. They come and do a site visit, and maybe they're okay with it, but they bring their spouse also. And one of the hardest things is I've had a lot of conversations, I'm not exaggerating this, where they ask, okay, so where's the Starbucks? And that, you know, very seriously, this probably happens to me a couple times a year where I'm the salesperson of the area, which I've only lived here for 5.5 years. And I think I do a good job at it. But one of the things that I think matters to people who are coming is just what does it look like when you drive downtown? And so I'm really supportive of the trees and the beautification and the art, particularly to the degree that it's paid for by grants, but just generally because I am often the salesperson of Tenasket to someone who I want to come work here to provide care for us. And so from that perspective, I really value those things. And I am, in that sense, I'm also a business owner, and I can understand that how your business looks from the street is really important. And I totally get the parking issue too. So I understand that we're balancing those things, but I wanted to share that perspective. And I told it to Roger, but he's got a big mouth, but I don't know who else he would tell it to. So.
Love you, Roger.
We have Ronnie at the back.
I was basically just going to say the same thing that he said, is that when you have businesses that are looking at coming to your community, they do look at the beautification of your community. What type of pride is the community members and the business owners putting into their downtowns? When we're trying to recruit people, they're not just looking at the community and what you have available in regards to what kind of shopping and those types of things, but they want to live in a community that they're proud to call their home. And a lot of times, if you have a big business like a manufacturing company that would look at your community, they would want to make sure that the services and the businesses are there that will entice that spouse to come there, because we've seen it. You just look at a couple of our different organizations throughout the county who were hired in CEO positions, and they were there for 6 months and they resigned and moved away because their spouse couldn't live in that community. So it's just really, really important, because even if a big company comes here and they're going to bring employees with them, they are going to come here and they have to have a community that they can do things in. But the other thing that we always talk about is we export our biggest resource, and that's our kids. You know, our kids, they graduate, they go to school, and they don't come back. Or many times they don't come back because there's not something for them to come back to. So what you're doing right now in this planning process is you are planning on having something and providing something for your kids so that they can come back to.
One of the other data points, we looked at several projects, similar projects that had been done throughout the state during the course of the design. And one of them, I think Jeff was there.
I've been to the one you're talking about, Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Sprague.
Sprague. Oh, I went to
So,
both Sprague and Monroe.
The business owner came out. So first looking at, the population's different. It's a different demographics. And I get that. I can't, it's apples and oranges. Vacancies along that corridor were 50%, and now they're near zero. The business owner that came out and talked to us, the business tripled after the beautification of that street. Just a data point. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. Can't guarantee anything, but 50% vacancy to zero. And that particular business came out and said his business tripled.
Dina Mae Visser. I have a couple questions. On the tree thing, who's going to pay for all the pruning and the upkeep? There's diseases that can come. Is there an arborist involved? When the roots get all gurgled in, then the tree's going to die. I like what we have now with the containers with the flowers that the store owners do, and that beautifies the street, and that's something simple and isn't costly, and you don't have to worry about breaking leaves and the branches breaking and all of that. My other question on the, it says decided, no planners as a median. Oh, there's a median down the middle of the street. So is it
Can I,
going to
I want to stop you right there. I'm sorry. I want to stop this before it goes anywhere else on that centerpiece. The very first drawing at one of our very first meetings, it came in with a median right down the middle of the highway. And everyone was like, absolutely not going to happen. So the decision was not to have that. So I just want to clarify that.
It's listed here as a thing that's been decided on, as I interpret it.
It says no median.
No planners, but it says there's a median down the middle. So is that a concrete to divide?
No median. No median.
Is there going to still be the lane turn? So we have 3 lanes?
Yes.
So that. you
No
can get-
median. Yeah, we didn't want a median. Nobody wanted a median. Yes, nobody wanted a median. That was, we listened.
So then on the bump outs with the snow removal, how does that work with the trucks? Are you still gonna put snow in the middle of the road like you've always done?
Yeah.
But for your plowing then and getting around all the bump outs,
Well, if you go on to Western Street, right behind the hospital, the sidewalk there, they got a bump out where they put the MRI trailer on. We plow that street. Haven't ran into it at 25 miles an hour yet. May have bumped it to
You've
find
been
a
going
head.
25 miles an hour?
But anyway, it's not a problem. It won't be a problem. The only thing you might have a spot in the corners that don't quite get completely cleaned out.
well, how wide is the bump out that goes out into the road?
Why is there?
How wide? Yeah.
Each one's a little
From
different.
the current sidewalk, how far is it going to go out?
Yeah, it's approximately 8 feet, and they're not all identical. Because again, we took the turning radiuses all into perspective when we did the intersection design. So they vary a little bit, but I'm gonna say on average, it's about 8 feet. It's the parking lane. So the parallel parking lane.
The one down by the hospital, that little curve doesn't seem that, it goes out 8 feet, that much to me. But going back, if the grant's gonna buy the trees, who's gonna pay for the maintenance the next 20, 40 years down the road and taking care of them? Is it gonna be up to the businesses, or is it you're gonna raise our city rates to pay somebody to do it? And there needs to be an arborist, or however you say that, involved.
Public Works will be taking care of the trees. And flowers.
So I just want to say like, so having this new world here, we're going to have new problems. We're going to have to find new solutions. And we're going to have to find a little bit of adjustments in our budget to try to support something new. And so we don't know all of the considerations that we're going to have right now. We are thinking through like pruning, making sure we have healthy trees. What does the leaves look like? We're trying to take that all in consideration to make it so it's not as costly on the city, that we're not going to have to raise rates because we have trees. Like that's not something that we want to have. And so, and we do own chainsaws. And so if we have to, and if it's really expensive and we say, never mind, this isn't working, we'll take them out. So that's, I don't know, Renee, if you have any more to add to the budget conversation with that.
And again, if this follows the model of other communities, and again, I'm not the decision making, I just implement councils and staff's decisions. But if there's an increase in downtown business by 25% and the sales tax of 25% increase, the budget for Parks and Rec and mowing the parks and the water and the sewer and all of that's gonna increase too. So, you know, I mean, hopefully there's a positive outlet on that.
First of all, I just want to see, through having this conversation, I've learned that there were concerns about trees and windows. And the biggest concern is folks want to feel like they're part of that process. They want to feel like their input is being heard. And we have a committee. We are taking all this information down. And we're gonna make sure that maybe what we can do, invite a couple of business owners, people that want to take the time to participate with us to make these decisions. Maybe what we need to do is talk to you. What size of tree? What type of tree? We do have an arborist. We have a specialist. Somebody like Alyssa said, we're not, you know, my family, we grow apples and we have little midget apples. We have giant apple trees. So there's all sorts of different rootstocks. There's a perfect tree for the purpose that we have here in town. And with the specialists, we can get there. And with your feedback, we will know where not to put those trees. Because the last thing we want as a council is to affect our businesses. We want our businesses to thrive. We want Tonasket to thrive. We want to be proud of our town, and we are. But you know, it needs a little bit facelift. And it's a little, we need some more pipes in there for the next 40 years. We need, you know, so all your feedback is important. We're taking it all into consideration. That's why the communication is so important. That's why we're going to be having everything on Facebook. Please continue to come. Don't just come when you're upset. Please come all the time, because we're making decisions all the time on your behalf. We work really hard. All of us have jobs. All of us have jobs, but we believe in service. We believe in Tonasket. Somebody asked me to run because they wanted me to run to provide for Tonasket, to give back to Tonasket. That's why I did it. To give back to Tonasket. And every single person here, that's what they do it. Because they want to give back to Tonasket. And you being here tells me that you care about Tonasket. So keep coming, keep bringing your concerns to us, and we will do our best to meet them. But we are not going to meet everybody's needs. That's the truth. That's the truth. But we are going to do our best to meet the majority of our concerns. And with businesses, like I said, Ms. Levine, Ms. Weddle, there are leads on this project. They've been going out to the different businesses, doing their best that they can, but reach out to us. Do you guys know everybody knows Tegan and everybody knows Alyssa. Reach out. We want your feedback. We need your feedback. We can't do this without you. Do we have any other questions?
There's a comment online.
Go ahead. I can't read that far. Can somebody read it? Believe. We have a comment. We're trying to.
I put a thumbs down when asked originally if I was for or against trees. This discussion has given me more to think about. More complete facts with the details has helped.
Thank you, Julie.
And this came
For
from
your comment.
From Julie.
I believe it's from Julie Greenwood.
Julie, would you like to elaborate to your comment? No, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she wants to
she's
hear.
good.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'm George Hill, and I appreciate the trees and the artwork, but do you want the people admiring that as they go down the road or watching the traffic in front of us? And the bulb outs are another thing that adds to congestion. See, there's only two towns on Highway 97 that the traffic goes through Main Street, Tenasket and Orville.
Right.
And so it's a busy street. And I'm sure that's why, you were commenting about all the accidents. Well, there's going to be when you have that much traffic. And so I think we need to keep in mind that you need to streamline the traffic through town. And, I mean, it's what it is. I'm sorry. I'm with you. I'd like to have a cozy little town that has a car once in a while. But it's not going to be that way because the traffic has to go, all of 97 has to go right through the middle of our main street.
The idea is.
Thank you.
So they
Well-
stop.
Thank you.
You're going to have to change the speed limit because,
Okay.
well, I've been out here with the cops and the people pretty much go 25. So
One, okay. Okay, one at a time.
I'm just saying the whole idea of this is to slow the traffic down. And people aren't going to be running off the road because they're looking at something. But right now, I know that there's oftentimes people are going through town at 40 miles an hour.
Okay, we have a person that raised their hand in the back.
Sorry,
And
Efren's first, sorry.
and George or Roger.
I lived in eastern Montana for about a year and a half, and one of the biggest impediments to change and progress or just things in general was people wanting to see change, growth, and improvements, but stuck in the mindset of this is how we've always done things. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to change? Why do we have to upgrade this and change that? We've always done things this way. Well, my brother, rest his soul, came up with an interesting response. And that is, if you do what you have always done, you will get what you have always had. So what do you want? You want something different and better and more prosperous. You want the community to thrive. You can't do the same things and engage in the same activities that keep the community stagnant. You got to make a choice. It's move forward. And the only way to do that, to get to where you want to be, to see a difference in your community, is to do something different. And that's it.
Mr. One more.
Roger doesn't do it. Okay, let's go back to 60.
Yeah.
Go back to 1960. Did you see what we see now in town? Had a sale ring, theaters, bowling alley, a variety of different things. Here you go, Roger.
Thank you, Steve. Listen, you're debating a minor point. The main thing is the water problem, the sidewalks, and the other things. The trees come last. You can deal with it at that time, and you can deal with the art. Get the project going, for Pete's sakes.
So, and I'd like to make a comment, like the mayor said, anyone that wants to talk with Elisa and I more, please do. It sounds like everyone is very concerned about the trees and finding the perfect tree for the perfect passage. So if anybody wants to share their input with us when we get to that point, that would be great. Or leave a name on a list and we'll make sure you're contacted when we get to that point.
We have a comment from Julie Greenwood. Again, it says, I'm thankful for the bulb outs. It can take a long time to get across the main street when walking as is. Also, it's sometimes pretty risky because no one can see you trying to cross. Artwork, have any of our existing beautiful murals caused accidents? Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you for the comment.
Can I say one thing about
Go ahead.
about the getting
Yes,
feedback.
go ahead.
We really want feedback, but I do want you to remember on our what's been decided and what's not been decided list. So we have plans out to agencies that we can't change. Those are out there. And so just remember that list. Like we want feedback, we want to be open and we want, but there has been many, many, many moons of this project and we are at the place where we had to make some decisions. We are there and now we are moving to the next point. So.
Okay, Mike, oh, one moment, please. The comment that I just read was from Delana, not Julie Greenwood.
Yes, ma'am. This section right here has already been gone through the whole process. For this,
To update
Oh.
everyone.
to update folks on everything that has been happening.
There have been a lot
Any-
of meetings like this,
Any
a lot of them.
Any other questions? Folks, I want to thank everybody for being here. Right now,
Absolutely.
it's harvest.
It's
I feel like it's harvest. As many as you know, my family or many of you may not know, my family we're farmers, and my two brothers and my sister who usually are lead the charge with the orchards. Well, we've been having some challenges, family challenges. So I've stepped up and I'm out there. I've been out there for about a month and a half now. So I've been getting up at 5 a.m. and working all day. So I know what many of you here already do and know what that's like. And so I know many of you want to go home and sleep because you have to get up early because you have your jobs and you have to, get up and go. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I don't want to belabor this meeting any longer than it needs to. Mr. Castelda, everybody, Mary Lou, everybody that's here, thank you for coming. When are we gonna have another one like our next meeting? Do we know yet?
We don't have one set, but if it is set, check all of those communication systems. But we don't have one set yet. We'll see if we get some information back from some agencies and then we will do another meeting, but reach out.
And our commitment to you is to continue to bring the information, to keep everybody posted and thank you for being to ask it. This meeting is adjourned.
Kurt. You can put these up. Do you want these up?
I've been sitting on the old floor.
Oh.
With the clutch all the way up.
Okay.
Yeah, around that track.
Why not?
My back, I couldn't sit anymore. That's why I'm like, okay, it's time to, we're beating the dead horse already. Yeah, I've ran that track. So- I'm gonna be back.